Some of these birds look unreal, not because of filters, not because of CGI, but because nature sometimes creates color, shape, and patterns so extreme. Our brains struggle to accept that it's real. Across mountains, rainforests, deserts, and frozen landscapes, there are bird species that seem almost too strange and too beautiful to exist. Feathers that shimmer like polished metal, colors that shift as they move, patterns that appear painted rather than grown. Yet every one of them is real. In this film, we're exploring 30 strange and beautiful bird species found in some of the harshest and most unexpected places on Earth. These birds don't stand out by accident. Every color has a function. Every pattern comes with a trade-off. As we move from one species to the next, you'll see how evolution uses light, motion, and visibility. Sometimes as a weapon, sometimes as a risk. Because in the wild, being beautiful can make you powerful or make you a target. So as you watch these birds emerge from shadow into sunlight, ask yourself, if survival usually rewards camouflage, why would nature create something so impossible to ignore? And which of these species will change the way you see the natural world? A bird that looks like it was dipped in molten metal somehow survives where oxygen runs thin and winters try to kill everything that moves. That's the Himalayan monal, Nepal's national bird, and one of the most visually extreme birds ever produced by evolution. This pheasant lives high in the Himalayas, usually between 2,700 and 4,500 meters, in cold alpine forests, rhododendron slopes, and open mountain meadows. These are not gentle environments. Snow can fall suddenly, food is seasonal, and predators are always watching. So the first question that hits you is obvious. Why would a bird shine like a disco ball in a place where blending in could mean survival? Up close, the male monal is unreal. Its plumage shifts between emerald green, copper red, cobalt blue, and violet depending on the angle of light. This isn't pigment alone. It's structural coloration, microscopic feather layers bending light like a prism. The female, by contrast, wears mottled browns and grays, perfectly camouflaged for nesting on the ground. Flashy male, stealthy female, classic high-risk, high-reward strategy. Smart or reckless? That's your first debate. Monals feed mostly on roots, tubers, insects, larvae, and seeds. They use their strong, curved beaks to dig into soil, often flipping rocks and leaf litter like tiny mountain bulldozers. During winter, when food is scarce, they move lower in elevation, forming loose groups to forage more efficiently. Their call isn't musical. It's a sharp, whistling series of notes that carries well through thin mountain air, especially during breeding season. Spring is when the male's colors matter most. He displays by strutting, puffing his chest, and angling his body to catch maximum sunlight, turning himself into a living signal flare. But here's the twist. Those same colors that attract mates also attract predators like foxes, martens, and large raptors. Evolution didn't give him beauty for free, it charged interest. So is the Himalayan monal a masterpiece of survival, or a gamble that just happens to work? If standing out can get you killed, why does nature keep doubling down on color? And if this bird already looks unreal in frozen mountain light, wait until you see what happens when evolution pushes beauty even further in the next species. A bird with tail feathers longer than its own body chooses to live hidden in dark, dripping cloud forests. That's the resplendent quetzal, a species so visually extravagant it feels almost contradictory to its lifestyle. The quetzal lives in the montane cloud forests of Central America, especially in southern Mexico, Guatemala, Costa Rica, and Panama. These forests sit at mid to high elevations, wrapped in constant mist, where light filters through leaves in soft, broken beams. It's cool, wet, and dense. Not exactly the place you'd expect to find a bird glowing emerald green. Its plumage is built for that light. The male's feathers shimmer green, not from pigment, but from microscopic structures that reflect light, shifting from emerald to turquoise as it moves. The chest burns crimson red, and during breeding season, two elongated tail coverts stream behind him like ribbons, sometimes reaching over a meter long. The female is shorter-tailed and duller, but still unmistakably elegant. Again, flash versus function. Necessary or dangerously unnecessary. The quetzal's diet is surprisingly specific. It feeds mainly on wild avocados and other fruit, swallowing them whole and regurgitating the seeds later. In fact, many cloud forest trees depend on quetzals for seed dispersal. Without them, parts of the forest simply wouldn't regenerate. Add insects, small frogs, and lizards to the menu, and you've got a bird quietly holding the ecosystem together. Not bad for something that looks like fantasy art. Its call is soft and hollow, a low kiao or whup that echoes through foggy valleys. You often hear it before you ever see it, and breeding is just as discreet. Quetzals nest in rotting tree cavities, often excavated from old woodpecker holes, laying eggs deep inside darkness, despite their glowing appearance outside. Predators are real. Hawks, owls, and arboreal mammals all pose threats. And here's the twist. Quetzals don't do well in captivity. They stress easily, refuse to feed, and often die. Freedom isn't optional for this bird. It's biological. So here's the question. Is the resplendent quetzal beautiful because it's rare? Or rare because beauty made survival harder? And if this is what evolution creates in mist and shadow, what happens when it turns color into pure spectacle in open light? A bird with neon blue skin, a crimson back, a yellow neck collar, and jet black wings lives on a tiny tropical island where nothing flashy survives for long. That's Wilson's bird of paradise, one of the most visually precise animals evolution has ever assembled. This species is found only on a few small islands off western Papua, Indonesia. Lowland rainforest is its entire world, hot, humid, crowded with predators, and thick enough that sunlight barely reaches the forest floor, which immediately raises a question. Why would a bird evolve colors this loud in a place designed for hiding? The male is where things get extreme. His head is bald but not plain. The skin is a bright turquoise blue, crossed by a black double stripe that looks almost painted on. That color isn't feather pigment. It's structural skin coloration, produced by microscopic tissue layers that reflect light. His back is deep red, his wings velvet black, and his tail ends in two curled wires tipped with green discs. The female, meanwhile, is brown and camouflaged, built for survival, not spectacle. Beauty here is a one-sided risk. Worth it or not? Wilson's bird of paradise feeds mostly on fruit, especially figs, along with insects and small arthropods. It forages alone, moving quietly through the mid-canopy. Its voice is surprisingly sharp, short clicking notes and buzzing calls used to announce presence in dense forest where visibility is limited. Breeding season is where reality bends. The male clears a small patch of forest floor, removing every leaf and twig until the ground is bare. Then he performs. He hops, pivots, flashes his chest shield, raises his tail wires, and precisely angles his body toward the female. This is not random dancing. Studies show females reject males whose display timing or symmetry is even slightly off. Precision matters. Almost mechanical. That's your debate. Is this art or ruthless biological quality control? Predators include snakes, raptors, and tree-climbing mammals. And here's the twist. All that color disappears in low light. In shade, the male turns nearly black. The neon only activates when sunlight hits at the right angle. Flash on, flash off. A living switch. So is Wilson's bird of paradise reckless, or one of evolution's most calculated designers? And if this bird already looks engineered rather than born, wait until you see what happens when courtship turns into full visual illusion in the next species. A small black bird walks onto the forest floor and suddenly turns itself into a floating, smiley face. No feathers missing, no digital trickery, just biology doing something that honestly feels illegal. This is the superb bird of paradise, and yes, the name is earned. It lives in the montane rainforests of New Guinea, usually at mid to high elevations, where moss coats everything and light barely reaches the ground. The environment is dark, cluttered, and unforgiving. Visibility is terrible, which makes the male's courtship display even more confusing and fascinating. Most of the year, the male looks almost boring. Velvety black feathers, compact body, easy to overlook. Then breeding season hits. He clears a small display court on the forest floor, removing every leaf and twig. When a female arrives, the transformation begins. He raises specialized feathers from his chest and head, forming a near-perfect oval disc. Two bright blue patches above his eyes flare into view, creating the illusion of a glowing face. Not metaphorically, visually. Scientists have measured the feathers and found they absorb almost all light, making the blue appear unnaturally bright by contrast. This isn't color, it's optical engineering. Here's the mini twist. That famous smiley face doesn't exist until the display is complete. At the wrong angle, or with poor timing, the illusion collapses. Females are ruthless about it. If the dance is off, if the symmetry fails, if the rhythm breaks, she leaves. Debate time. Is this mating or a live performance audition with zero tolerance for mistakes? The superb bird of paradise feeds mainly on fruit, insects, and small arthropods, foraging quietly in the understory. Its vocalizations are sharp clicks and raspy calls, used mostly to advertise territory and readiness during breeding season. Outside of courtship, it's a solitary bird, rarely interacting with others. Predators include snakes, birds of prey, and arboreal mammals, which makes the display even riskier. During courtship, the male is exposed, distracted, and highly visible. Evolution didn't remove the danger. It doubled down on precision instead. So here's the uncomfortable question. If survival favors efficiency, why does nature tolerate something this extravagant, this fragile, and this specific? And if a bird can turn darkness itself into part of its display, what happens when color stops being subtle altogether in the next species? A bird the size of a house cat screaming across the rainforest canopy in pure red, yellow, and blue somehow survives in a world where being seen usually gets you eaten. That's the scarlet macaw, one of the loudest, brightest contradictions in the natural world. Scarlet macaws live in lowland tropical rainforests from southern Mexico through Central America and deep into the Amazon basin. These are dense, competitive ecosystems packed with predators, parasites, and rivals. Yet instead of blending in, the macaw goes full signal flare. Its plumage is dominated by scarlet red with bold yellow bands and electric blue flight feathers. High contrast blocks that look more like toy colors than camouflage. The question writes itself. Why advertise your location this aggressively? Part of the answer is social. Macaws are rarely alone. They live in pairs or small flocks and rely heavily on constant vocal communication. Their calls are loud, harsh squawks that can travel several kilometers through forest. Pleasant? No. Effective? Extremely. Those screams help mates stay connected while flying at high speed through thick canopy. If you can't hear your partner, you lose them. Diet explains the rest. Scarlet macaws feed mainly on hard seeds, nuts, fruits, and clay-rich soil from riverbanks. That clay isn't random. It helps neutralize toxins found in many unripe fruits they eat. Few animals can process that chemical load. Fewer still have beaks powerful enough to crack palm nuts like concrete. That oversized curved bill isn't decoration, it's industrial equipment. Here's a mini twist most people miss. Those bright colors may actually help macaws recognize each other instantly in chaotic jungle light. When everything is green, red stands out. Debate time. Are macaws visible because they're reckless, or because they're so well-armed, chemically and socially, that hiding isn't necessary anymore? Breeding pairs bond for life. They nest high in tree cavities, laying 1 to 3 eggs. Both parents raise the chicks, and young macaws stay dependent for months, learning what to eat and what not to touch. A critical lesson in a toxic forest. Predators include large raptors, monkeys, and snakes, especially for chicks. Adults rely on height, flight power, and group vigilance rather than stealth. So here's the challenge. If being bright makes you obvious, but being obvious makes you successful, is camouflage always the best strategy? And if this is what raw color looks like when survival allows it, wait until evolution turns the saturation dial even higher in the next species. A bird small enough to fit in your hand somehow carries 3 completely different colors on one body. Blue head, red belly, green back, like it couldn't decide and chose all of them. That's the painted bunting, often called the most colorful songbird in North America, and also one of the most misunderstood. Painted buntings breed in the southern United States, especially along the southeast and parts of the Midwest, then migrate to Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean for winter. They favor open woodland edges, scrub, hedgerows, and brushy fields, places with thick cover, not wide open space, which immediately raises a question. Why would a bird this bright choose environments built for hiding? The answer starts with the feathers. Adult males wear intense red, blue, and green produced by both pigments and feather structure. Females and young birds, however, are plain green, almost invisible in foliage. That difference isn't aesthetic, it's survival math. Females spend more time nesting and feeding chicks, where camouflage matters more than showing off. Males take the visibility risk, but only during breeding season. Smart trade-off or unnecessary danger? Painted buntings feed mostly on seeds and insects. During breeding season, protein-heavy insects dominate the diet, especially caterpillars and beetles needed for chick growth. Outside that season, seeds take over. They forage low, hopping through dense cover, rarely lingering in the open. If you see one clearly, it usually means it messed up. Their song is fast, high-pitched, and slightly jumbled, a series of short phrases that sound rushed, almost nervous. Males sing to defend territory and attract mates, often from hidden perches. And here's a mini twist. Painted buntings are aggressively territorial. Males will fight other males over breeding space, sometimes so intensely that it leads to injury or death. Debate time. Is extreme beauty worth it if it pushes competition this far? Predators include hawks, snakes, and domestic cats, especially during migration and nesting. Human threats matter too. For years, these birds were trapped illegally for the pet trade because of their color. Ironically, the very thing that makes them beautiful made them vulnerable. So if being colorful increases risk, why hasn't evolution toned them down? Maybe because in the end, reproduction beats caution. And if this is what color looks like in a bird that still tries to hide, wait until we leave North America behind and meet a species that puts every shade on full display in open African light. A bird launches from a dead tree, flips backward in midair, flashes turquoise, lilac, green, and electric blue, then lands like nothing happened. That's the lilac-breasted roller, one of Africa's most visually overloaded birds, and somehow one of its most effective hunters. This species lives across eastern and southern Africa, favoring open savannas, woodland edges, and grasslands dotted with acacia trees. These are bright, exposed landscapes with very little cover. Hiding isn't really an option here, which makes the roller's color scheme feel almost defiant. Lilac chest, turquoise belly, green crown, blue wings, cinnamon back. It's not camouflage, it's a billboard. But here's the practical side. Rollers are perch and pounce hunters. They sit still on high branches or poles, scanning the ground for movement. When they strike, it's fast and direct. Their diet includes large insects like grasshoppers and beetles, but also lizards, frogs, small snakes, and even rodents. That broad menu means they can survive where more specialized hunters fail. Flashy feathers, yes, but backed by adaptability. The roller's call is harsh and mechanical, a series of grating rack, rack, rack sounds often delivered in flight. During breeding season, males perform aerial displays that look almost reckless, diving, rolling, and twisting while calling loudly. That's where the name roller comes from. It's not showboating for fun. These displays signal territory ownership and physical fitness. Debate time. Is this performance confidence or unnecessary exposure to danger? Breeding pairs are monogamous during the season. They nest in tree cavities, termite mounds, or abandoned woodpecker holes, laying 2 to 4 eggs. Both parents defend the nest aggressively, even chasing off much larger birds. Chicks are fed whole prey, often stunned by repeated beak strikes before delivery. Efficient, but not gentle. Predators include large raptors, snakes, and mammals that can reach nests. Adults rely on sharp eyesight, speed, and open visibility rather than stealth. And here's a mini twist. Those bright colors may actually confuse predators in motion, breaking up the bird's outline during flight under harsh sunlight. Not hiding, but disrupting perception. So is the lilac-breasted roller reckless for being so visible, or simply optimized for a world where hiding doesn't work anyway? And if this is what survival looks like in open African light, wait until pattern, texture, and contrast reach a whole new level in the next species. A duck swims past and suddenly looks like it's wearing a carved wooden mask, silk sails on its back, and hand-painted stripes everywhere else. No exaggeration, that's the mandarin duck, one of the most visually complex waterfowl on the planet. Mandarin ducks are native to East Asia, breeding in eastern Russia, northeastern China, Korea, and Japan. They prefer wooded freshwater habitats, forested lakes, slow rivers, and ponds with overhanging trees. Unlike most ducks, they often perch in trees, nesting in cavities several meters above the water. That alone already breaks the normal duck rule. The male's plumage during breeding season is where things get almost absurd. Orange sail feathers rise from the back like decorative fins. The face is layered with white crescents, black lines, chestnut tones, and a purple-green sheen across the breast. These colors aren't random. They're produced by a mix of pigments and feather structure, creating sharp contrasts that remain visible even in dappled forest light. The female, meanwhile, is gray-brown with white eye rings, quiet, practical, and perfectly camouflaged. Same species, 2 completely different design philosophies. Necessary contrast or evolutionary overkill? Outside the breeding season, males molt into a much duller eclipse plumage, temporarily losing the flashy look. That's your mini twist. The unreal duck only exists part of the year. When survival matters more than attraction, the color switch turns off. Mandarin ducks feed on seeds, acorns, aquatic plants, insects, snails, and small invertebrates. In autumn, acorns become especially important, and birds may travel considerable distances inland to find oak forests. Their calls are soft whistles and squeaks, nothing dramatic, which fits a species that relies more on visual signals than sound. Breeding begins in spring. Females lay eggs in tree cavities, and when the ducklings hatch, something incredible happens. They jump. From heights that can exceed 10 meters, the chicks leap out of the nest, bounce on the forest floor, and follow the mother to water. No flight feathers, no safety net. Debate time. Is that bravery or just physics plus luck? Predators include raccoon dogs, foxes, raptors, and large fish that take ducklings. Adults rely on agility, tree nesting, and seasonal camouflage rather than aggression. So here's the question. If a bird can switch between invisible and ornamental masterpiece on schedule, which version is the real one? And if layered patterns already look this unreal on water, wait until metallic shine takes center stage in the next species. A pigeon walks across a tropical beach, and suddenly it looks like polished metal under sunlight. Greens shift to bronze, copper slides into gold, and nothing about it says ordinary. This is the Nicobar pigeon, the closest living relative of the dodo, and easily the most visually misleading pigeon on Earth. Nicobar pigeons live across island chains of Southeast Asia and the Western Pacific, from the Andaman and Nicobar Islands through Indonesia, the Philippines, and parts of Melanesia. They favor small offshore islands, coastal forests, and mangroves, places with few ground predators and dense cover. During the day, they forage inland, and at night, they often roost together on isolated islets. That daily commute already hints at a lifestyle built around safety, not speed. Their plumage is where confusion starts. The feathers are dark but highly iridescent, reflecting metallic green, teal, and copper, depending on angle and light. This effect comes from feather microstructure, not bright pigment. The long neck hackles catch sunlight in flashes, while the head stays a deep slate gray and the tail is stark white. It looks engineered, but it serves a purpose. In broken coastal light, that shifting shine disrupts the bird's outline as it moves. Debate moment. Is this flashiness for display or for visual interference? Nicobar pigeons feed mainly on seeds, fruits, and fallen nuts, including tough coastal species many birds ignore. They forage on the ground, walking deliberately rather than hopping. Their voice is low and booming, a deep coo that carries through forest understory without drawing sharp attention. Not musical, but effective. Breeding behavior is understated. They nest in trees or dense shrubs, usually laying a single egg. Both parents share incubation and chick care. The young grow slowly, which is risky. But island environments trade predator pressure for patience. When predators arrive, though, things fall apart quickly. Introduced cats, rats, and humans have wiped out populations across parts of their range. Color didn't save them. Isolation once did. Here's the quiet twist. Despite their shine, Nicobar pigeons are shy and cautious. They flush early, fly strongly, and avoid open spaces when disturbed. The metal look doesn't mean bold behavior. It's surface only. So here's the question. If a bird can look futuristic while living such a conservative life, is beauty really about confidence or just a byproduct of structure? And if metallic feathers already blur the line between biology and illusion, wait until pure color saturation takes over in the next species. A bird barely heavier than a couple of coins somehow wears red, yellow, green, black, and purple all at once, and still manages to survive in one of Australia's harshest climates. That's the Gouldian finch, often called the most colorful finch on Earth, and one of the most scientifically studied for a reason. Gouldian finches are native to northern Australia, especially across savannas and open woodlands in the Kimberley Top End and Cape York regions. These areas swing between extreme wet seasons and long, punishing droughts. Food appears, disappears, and reappears on a schedule that doesn't care who's hungry. So right away, the obvious question, how does a bird this delicate-looking make it here? The plumage is the first distraction. Bright green back, yellow belly, purple breast, turquoise highlights, and a head that comes in 3 color morphs, black, red, or yellow. And this isn't random variation. Head color is genetically linked to behavior and hormone levels. Red-headed males tend to be more aggressive. Black-headed birds are calmer and more cooperative. Same species, different personalities. Debate time, is color just decoration or a visible personality trait written into feathers? Their diet is almost entirely grass seeds, especially native sorghum. During the dry season, when seeds harden and water disappears, Gouldian finches must drink daily. Miss a water source, and they don't last long. That's why they stay close to permanent water holes and move constantly in flocks, tracking seed availability with almost surgical timing. Their call is soft and high-pitched, a series of thin whistles that keep flock members connected without alerting predators. Loud birds get noticed. Gouldians prefer subtle coordination. Breeding begins late in the wet season, when food is most reliable. They nest in tree hollows, laying 4 to 8 eggs. Both parents feed the chicks, regurgitating partially digested seeds. Efficient, repetitive, relentless. Predators include snakes, raptors, and goannas that raid nests. But the biggest threat isn't teeth or talons, it's habitat change. Altered fire regimes and overgrazing have reduced grass seed diversity, pushing Gouldian finches into decline. Their colors didn't fail them, their timing did. Here's the twist. In captivity, Gouldian finches thrive. In the wild, they struggle. Beauty wasn't built for safety, it was built for balance. So if extreme color can coexist with extreme vulnerability, maybe looking unreal isn't an advantage at all. Maybe it's a warning. And if this is where our first chapter of Impossible Beauty ends, the next birds are about to push shape, form, and illusion even further. A bird lands on the ground looking fairly normal. then suddenly fans its head into a blazing orange crown with black tips like it just deployed a living signal flag. That's the hoopoe, a species whose appearance can change your impression in a single second. Hoopoes are widely distributed across Europe, Asia, and much of Africa. They prefer open landscapes with short grass, farmland, savannas, and woodland edges, places where the soil is exposed and easy to probe. This bird is built for the ground. Long legs, a long curved bill, and a slow, deliberate walking style make it look more like a foraging machine than a flyer. That bill is the key. Hoopoes feed mainly on insects and their larvae, beetles, crickets, ants, caterpillars, and especially soil-dwelling prey like grubs. They push the bill deep into the ground, feel for movement, then extract prey with surprising accuracy. No digging frenzy, no chaos, just methodical probing. Their tongue is short, so they often toss food into the air and catch it to swallow properly. Clumsy looking, but effective. Their call is unmistakable, a low, hollow hoop-hoo, 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 repeated slowly and evenly. It carries far across open land without sounding aggressive. That sound is used mostly during breeding season to mark territory and attract a mate. Simple, steady, and confident. Debate moment. Is subtle communication more powerful than loud display? The crest is where things get interesting. Most of the time, it stays folded and barely noticeable. But when the hoopoe is excited, alarmed, or displaying, the crest fans open dramatically. It doesn't just look impressive. It changes the bird's perceived size and outline, potentially startling predators or rivals. Flash on, flash off. A visual tool, not a constant costume. Breeding behavior comes with a twist most people don't expect. Hoopoes nest in cavities, tree holes, walls, rocks. And during nesting, the female and chicks produce a strong, foul-smelling secretion from a gland near the tail. It smells like rotting meat. This isn't an accident. That odor deters predators and parasites. Clean-looking bird, dirty defense strategy. Worth it or too much? Predators include raptors, foxes, snakes, and large mammals. Hoopoes rely on vigilance, flight bursts, and that sudden crest display rather than camouflage or aggression. So here's the question. If a bird can switch from plain to spectacular in an instant, which version do predators believe? And if visual surprise already works this well, wait until long legs and impossible posture push the illusion even further in the next species. A bird walks through the grass like it's late for a meeting, then suddenly stomps a snake to death. Not swoops, not dives, walks. That's the secretary bird, a raptor that hunts on foot and looks like it escaped from a concept artist's desk. This species lives across sub-Saharan Africa, favoring open savannas, grasslands, and lightly wooded plains. These are wide, exposed environments where hiding isn't really an option. So instead of flying low and ambushing prey, the secretary bird does something unusual for a bird of prey. It patrols. Long legs, upright posture, steady pace. An adult can walk more than 20 kilometers in a single day, scanning the ground with calm, forward-facing focus. The obvious question, why hunt like a land animal when you have wings? The answer is in the legs. Those long, crane-like limbs aren't just for show. They're powerful weapons. Secretary birds kill prey by stamping, delivering rapid, precise kicks strong enough to crush skulls or sever spinal cords. Snakes, including venomous cobras and adders, are common targets. So are rodents, lizards, frogs, insects, and small birds. Debate moment. Is this still a bird of prey or a feathered kickboxer? Its appearance only adds to the confusion. Pale gray body, black flight feathers, white thighs, and a crown of stiff black quills at the back of the head, often compared to pens tucked behind a clerk's ear, which is how the bird got its name. The face is bare and orange, with heavy lashes that give it a permanently serious, almost judgmental expression. Functional, too. Bare skin helps regulate heat during long ground hunts. Despite the terrestrial lifestyle, secretary birds still rely on flight. They soar to spot prey, escape danger, and reach nests. Breeding pairs build massive stick nests high in isolated trees, often reused and expanded year after year. Females lay 1 to 3 eggs, and both parents feed the chicks, delivering whole prey items. Growth is slow. Chicks stay dependent for months. Risky, but necessary for a bird that needs time to master those lethal kicks. Their vocalizations are low croaks and grunts, rarely dramatic. Communication relies more on posture and movement than sound. Predators are few for adults, but eggs and chicks are vulnerable to crows, eagles, and mammals. Habitat loss, however, is the real threat. As grasslands shrink, the walking hunter runs out of room. So here's the challenge. If evolution already gave you wings, why abandon the air and take the fight to the ground? And if a bird can rewrite what a raptor looks like this completely, what happens when illusion turns into sheer size and intimidation in the next species? A bird that looks like it's dragging 2 painted carpets through the forest somehow chooses to live on the ground. in some of the densest forests in Southeast Asia. That's the crested argus, a pheasant whose tail alone seems to ignore every rule of practicality. Crested argus inhabit montane evergreen forests across Vietnam, Laos, and parts of southern China, usually between 1,000 and 2,000 meters in elevation. These forests are dark, steep, and tangled with undergrowth. Visibility is low, movement is difficult, and predators are always close, which immediately raises a question: why evolve a tail so long and patterned that it can exceed a meter in length? The answer lies in the feathers themselves. What looks like a tail is actually a pair of massively elongated wing feathers covered in hundreds of eye-like spots, each one precisely aligned. These patterns are not random. Studies show that females judge males based on symmetry, spacing, and condition of these eyes. Any damage, unevenness, or missing sections can mean rejection. Debate moment. Is this extreme precision a sign of genetic quality or an unfair standard set by sexual selection? Most of the time, the crested argus is surprisingly quiet and cautious. Its plumage outside of display is earthy brown and gray, blending well with leaf litter. It feeds mainly on fallen fruits, seeds, shoots, insects, and small invertebrates, foraging slowly along forest floors. Movement is deliberate. Running is rare. Flying is possible, but limited and usually used only to escape immediate danger. Its vocalizations are deep, haunting calls that carry long distances through forested valleys, especially during the breeding season. Males call repeatedly from fixed locations, advertising territory and readiness without needing to be seen. Sound first, vision later. Efficient, given the environment. When a female approaches, everything changes. The male clears a display court, then slowly fans those enormous feathers into a curved wall around her, forming a visual tunnel of eye spots. He pivots carefully, adjusting angle and distance so the pattern appears continuous and immersive. One misstep, and the illusion breaks. This isn't just showing off. It's controlled presentation under pressure. Predators include clouded leopards, large snakes, and raptors. Chicks are especially vulnerable, relying on camouflage and stillness rather than speed. Habitat loss and hunting have pushed the species into decline. Big feathers don't help when forests disappear. So here's the uncomfortable question. If survival favors efficiency, why does evolution allow something this excessive to exist at all? And if illusion already stretches this far on the forest floor, wait until raw power and intimidation take over in the next species. A shadow moves through the canopy, and suddenly the forest goes quiet. Not because it's night, but because something at the top of the food chain just arrived. That's the harpy eagle, one of the most powerful raptors on Earth, and easily one of the most intimidating birds ever built. Harpy eagles live in lowland tropical rainforests across Central and South America, especially the Amazon basin. They depend on large, continuous tracts of mature forest with tall, emergent trees. This is a canopy world, layered and vertical, where speed matters less than strength and precision. And that's exactly what this eagle specializes in. Physically, the harpy eagle is extreme. Adults can weigh up to 9 kilograms, with females significantly larger than males. The wings are broad but relatively short for an eagle, designed not for soaring long distances, but for maneuvering between trees. The legs are thick, muscular, and end in talons the size of a grizzly bear's claws, among the largest of any living bird. Debate moment. When your feet are weapons, do you even need speed? The feathered crown on its head forms a raised crest that can be lifted when the bird is alert or stressed, making the face appear larger and more aggressive. Combined with forward-facing eyes and a heavy hooked bill, the harpy eagle has a stare that feels almost mammalian. Not decorative, functional intimidation. Its diet explains everything. Harpy eagles primarily hunt tree-dwelling mammals, sloths, monkeys, opossums, and kinkajous. They also take large birds like macaws and curassows. Hunting is silent. The eagle perches for long periods, scanning the canopy, then launches in a short, explosive flight. One strike, no chase. The prey often never sees it coming. Vocalizations are surprisingly subdued. Soft whistles and weak-sounding calls, mostly near the nest. Power doesn't need noise. Breeding is slow and conservative. Pairs build massive nests high in emergent trees, often reused for years. The female lays 1 to 2 eggs, but typically only one chick survives. Parents invest heavily, feeding the chick for many months. A full breeding cycle can take 2 to 3 years. High investment, low margin for error. Natural predators are virtually non-existent for adults. The real threat is humans. Deforestation removes nesting trees and hunting grounds, breaking the system this bird depends on. Strength means nothing without space. So here's the question. If you're powerful enough to dominate an entire forest layer, what happens when that forest disappears? And if intimidation has already reached this level, Wait until evolution adds flowing ornament and spectacle back into the equation with the next species. A large brown bird lifts off from the treetops, and suddenly a cloud of golden feathers pours out behind it, flowing, rippling, almost detached from the body itself. That's the greater bird of paradise, a species whose ornamentation is so extreme that early explorers believed it never touched the ground at all. This bird lives in the lowland rainforests and swamp forests of New Guinea and surrounding islands. Warm, humid, and crowded with life, these forests are visually chaotic. Light filters in broken shafts and movement is constant. In that environment, subtlety doesn't travel far. Visibility does. And the greater bird of paradise has solved that problem by turning its body into motion. Most of the year, the bird looks fairly ordinary. The body is chestnut brown, the wings broad, the posture upright. Then breeding season arrives. Adult males grow long flank plumes, soft filament-like feathers colored bright yellow at the base, fading to pale golden white. These feathers don't sit flat, they float. When the bird moves, they respond instantly to air and light, creating exaggerated motion even when the body barely shifts. Debate moment. Is this about color or about controlling attention through movement? The male also has an emerald green throat shield that flashes when angled toward light, and a pair of tail wires that curve outward behind him. Females are plainer and slightly smaller, built for camouflage and nesting rather than display. Again, the pattern repeats. Risk concentrated in one sex, survival spread across the other. Greater birds of paradise feed mainly on fruit, especially figs, along with insects and small invertebrates. They forage high in the canopy, often alone. Their calls are loud, nasal, and far-carrying, harsh squawks mixed with metallic clicks, used to advertise presence long before a display begins. Breeding behavior is highly structured. Males gather at traditional display trees, forming loose leks. Each male defends a small perch and performs when females arrive. Displays involve hanging upside down, spreading flank plumes into a shimmering halo, and vibrating wings to keep the feathers in constant motion. Females watch closely, often rejecting multiple males before choosing. Precision matters. Endurance matters. One weak performance ends the chance. Predators include large raptors, snakes, and arboreal mammals. During displays, males are exposed and distracted. Evolution didn't reduce that risk. It amplified the signal anyway. So here's the question. If attraction depends on excess, at what point does beauty stop being an advantage and start becoming a liability? And if flowing feathers already bend perception this much, wait until evolution strips the body down and replaces it with something even stranger in the next species. A bird hops onto a branch, and two impossibly long blue wires rise from its head, bending, shaking, glowing like fiber optic cables catching the light. Nothing about this looks biological, and yet it is. This is the king of Saxony bird of paradise, one of the strangest visual experiments evolution has ever approved. This species is found only in the montane forests of New Guinea, usually between 1,500 and 2,800 meters. These forests are cool, misty, and dim, with light slipping through in narrow beams. Visibility is limited. Details get lost quickly, which makes the male's head ornaments even more puzzling and more effective. Those wires aren't feathers in the usual sense. They're elongated shafts with tiny reflective plates that scatter light, creating a neon blue shimmer visible even in deep shade. They can grow longer than the bird's entire body. During display, the male raises, lowers, vibrates, and angles them independently, turning simple head movements into exaggerated visual signals. Debate moment. Is this decoration or a biological highlighter designed to hijack attention? The rest of the bird is relatively plain, dark brown to black plumage, compact body, short tail. The female is even more subdued, lacking the head wires entirely and blending easily into forest foliage. Once again, risk is concentrated in the male. If predators are watching, he's the one advertising. King of Saxony birds of paradise feed mainly on fruit, especially figs, along with insects and small arthropods. They forage alone in the mid to upper canopy, moving deliberately and rarely rushing. Their vocalizations are sharp clicks and buzzing notes, often given just before or during display to draw attention without revealing exact position. Breeding behavior centers on isolated display perches rather than communal leks. When a female approaches, the male performs a precise routine, bouncing, wing flicking, and wire manipulation timed to her movements. Females are selective. Poor timing, damaged ornaments, or weak posture can end the encounter instantly. Precision isn't optional here. It's the entire test. Predators include raptors and arboreal mammals, especially when males are distracted. Habitat loss at higher elevations poses an increasing threat. These birds can't simply move lower without losing the environment their displays depend on. So here's the question. If evolution can turn head feathers into glowing signals, Where exactly is the line between natural selection and design illusion? And if this already feels engineered rather than evolved, the next species pushes size, power, and attitude into even more intimidating territory. A massive eagle sits motionless in the canopy, staring straight ahead, and it looks less like a bird and more like a myth that learned how to hunt. That's the Philippine eagle, one of the largest and rarest eagles on Earth, built for dominance in dense tropical forest. This species is found only in the Philippines, primarily on the islands of Luzon, Samar, Leyte, and Mindanao. It depends on lowland and montane rainforests with tall, continuous canopy. These forests are thick, shadowed, and vertically complex. Long-distance soaring doesn't work here. Precision does. So this eagle evolved broad wings for short bursts of flight and an unusually long tail for balance while weaving between trees. Its appearance is unmistakable. A shaggy crest of long brown and cream feathers crowns the head, often raised to make the bird look